Don't.
And then imagine like all of us waking up and realizing we're all source suddenly. I feel like that would just break the machine. Let's say there is a machine attached to us and something like that. Because let's think about this as like a frequency war. This just came to me right now. I don't know. But it's like, okay, if there's something is dense, like a metal, like, yeah, it can be connected to us, or maybe it's a programming. But the moment we realize, oh my God, I'm source. I'm source, then the frequency suddenly becomes one with source. And so whatever kind of stimulation is around us would break. And I think that would be breaking the reality. So if we have every single person realizing that, like, instead of bowing to your guru or to your spiritual teacher, like, love your spiritual teachers, like they're your mentors, but you don't need to like bow to go to God. Like, you are already God, each and every single one of you. But I think if every person realized that they were God, it would create such a huge ripple in that matrix, let's say, you know? And absolutely. I think they're going to do everything they can to keep us from realizing that, you know? So.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie. We are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. We have a very special guest lined up for you today, and I am stoked to get started. So without further ado, Leslie, say hey.
Hello, I'm Leslie, also known as Light Being Love. We are here with Dr. Pontea. Would you like to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. So glad to be here with you girls.
Yes, we have lots to talk about. So for our audience, in this episode, we're thrilled to welcome the extraordinary Dr. Pontea Dianati, a spiritual gifted healer, near-death experience survivor, and doctor of psychology. Pontea works in collaboration with the Angelic Realm, God, our galactic family, and Mother Nature to offer powerful healing to people all over the world. With a deep background in psychology, specializing in integrative psychology, subtle energy medicine, and integrative spirituality, Pontea is a guiding light for both youth and adults on the path of self-healing and self-realization. Her work blends ancient wisdom with modern science, and she offers sessions in person and online to a global community. As a trauma-informed intuitive master of bioenergetic medicine, she helps people and even animals heal by uniting spirit with the science of our body's electromagnetic fields. Her sessions are truly transformational, and she offers support on a sliding scale for those in need. Dr. Pontea, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. You girls are so lovely, and I'm so honored to be on your channel. So thank you.
Yay, absolutely. Do you have anywhere specific you want to start the convo, or like, should I conjure a question?
Yeah, I would love to have you conjure a question. That would be wonderful. Let's do that.
All right, cool. Can you share with us your journey into becoming a spiritually gifted healer and doctor of psychology? What inspired you to bridge ancient healing practices with cutting-edge science?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. And yeah, so basically I started out working in the school system. You know, I was working in the school system with the kids, after school programs, and I started doing meditation circles with the kids, you know, in the school, and they would always come and talk to me about like challenges they were having, you know, where we had a lot of the kids that were cutting themselves, you know, because when I was working in the middle schools. And so I would always end up talking to the kids and kind of teaching them like my spiritual tools or something like that, you know? So after like a few years of being in the school systems, I ended up going to get trained for psychology. And the school I chose was a very spiritual, holistic psych program. And I saw a lot of the teachers were kind of mixing science and spirituality. And I really love that. And so, yeah, when I finished school, I tried doing therapy for a little bit. And after a while, I was like, no, this is not like what's my specialty. My specialty is more like spirituality and energy work. And so then I ended up just, you know, kind of going off and doing my own thing. And it seems like that's what heals people's souls, you know. So some people need because some people need to like talk about things to figure it out, but in terms of spirituality and energy work, we're trying to heal the soul, the wound that happened, and so I really like that because it's very like deep, and it's what healed me like from all the traumas I've had, and I still use it myself as well. So yeah, that's kind of how the switch happened, and that's kind of like a shortened version of it, but essentially that's kind of what happened.
I love that you were teaching kids spiritual stuff or spiritual tools to use, because I didn't find spirituality till I was like in my late 30s. And I really feel like, I mean, myself and anybody can benefit from having spiritual tools earlier on, like I was programmed with religion. So like it took a really long time for me to like get away from the programming and then step into something completely unknown, and not only unknown, but like kind of like against what I was programmed with growing up. I don't want to say programmed like it was like a devious effort, but I mean, ultimately that's how I feel about religion.
Oh.
I threw that out there. Whoops.
Oh. Leslie, were you going to say something?
I just responded to Allie's remark about religion, but yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think it was like evilness, that created it, but control, I would say that was a big part of religion, and some programming, yes, to not let us know the true nature of, who and what we are, and the true God source,
totally.
Yes.
And I would agree 100%, because I think I was kind of on the edge of this last year. Like I was still kind of having hope in religion. But after all these years of studying all the different paths, not all of them, because there's so many of them, but a little bit of each at least, it seems like they do all want to have control, like every time I go to a Christian place or a yoga place or a Hindu place or Islamic place, or even the ones that claim to be unity oriented, they all want you to follow their program. So I don't like that, because I don't think anything should be between me and God, because God is right here. Why do I need to follow like a specific program for me to connect to God? That never felt true to me. And I think that's why I always rebelled, and I tried kind of like different things. And this year it was like 100% proven to me, because I'm like, yeah, like how can you be unity oriented, but you think I should follow your path? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I was thinking the whole time that it like does create
everything.
It creates division basically amongst all of the different like
we have found the true prophet, like our teacher is the true prophet, or our method of meditation is the best, or you have to go to temple and wear this kind of outfit, or you have to go to church and cover yourself up this way, or if you're not a virgin, God forbid, or Eve is to blame for everything. There's just so many lies that have been spread. So exactly what you girls said, like, why do they want to control humanity? Why would something sinister want to control humanity? Imagine if all of humanity was connected to God and had their full power right now. What would happen on the planet? Well, I can tell you that the 2% that are currently benefiting from the 98% not having power would lose all their power.
Ooh,
right?
Girl,
And they don't want that.
Yeah.
So religion has been part of the programming.
Yeah, I have a really cool quote. Do you mind if I share it real quick? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, please.
Thank you. This is a quote from Ram Dass, and it says, "The spiritual journey is individual, highly personal. It can't be organized or regulated. It isn't true that everyone should follow one path. Listen to your own truth." And I feel like that's exactly what we just spoke on.
Exactly. And I feel like probably you girls feel the same way, right? Like both of you growing up, you were going through these religious trainings, but a part of you was like, this doesn't feel true. Like if God was so loving, why did God send all of us to hell? It's like, no, that doesn't kind of go together, does it? Mm-hmm. So then we know any religion that says God is going to send you to hell is a false religion, because a loving God wouldn't do that. And for me, like as a little kid, I was obsessed with God. I really wanted to connect to God. I'd had some, traumas early on, and it was so dark, the thing I experienced, that I was like, oh my God, I have to find the light side of this, And I think that's why I became obsessed with like talking to God and what I thought was probably imaginary conversations, right? Because I grew up in Islam, where it's kind of very similar to Christianity that, there's one prophet, you have to worship the prophet, and then you'll get to God maybe if you're like a really good, perfect girl kind of thing. And I just felt like I was not a good girl, I was like, how would God love me when, maybe I didn't get a good grade in school, or maybe I did this wrong, So I was very obsessed with having a friendship with God and stuff. And but then, I remember when moving to America, then I saw the whole Christian religion, and I saw how everybody was judging everybody based on that. And I remember my friends trying to take me to church to save me. And I remember thinking like, why would I need to be saved? So I thought that was interesting. And then finding the yogic path, I really liked it, right? Like that was kind of more free and meditation and stuff. But even in the yogic traditions, like everybody says you have to have one guru. If you have more than one guru, you're again like a naughty person. And I always tell people I'm not a one guru kind of girl. Like I have a lot of teachers because I need a lot of help.
Yeah.
If I found a teacher that had everything. So humanity being divided, unity, and then evil benefiting from that. I think that's a good topic. Anything else that's coming for you girls to share about that? Like as we're talking about that?
For me, yes. I feel like the two things that I always struggled with in terms of like religion was original sin. Like the idea that you pop out into the world already on the shit list, excuse my French. But like I always struggled with that. I'm like, how is a brand new human being, little baby infant, doesn't even have a chance to do anything yet, already a sinner? Like that always just never settled right with me. And then the other thing that never settled right with me is I didn't understand why I had to go through another human to get to God. Like, why do I have to speak to a priest to get to God? Why do I have to go to this other human being to get to God? Like, I didn't understand the separation there, and like what made that other human so special that like they have a direct connection to God, and like how did they, it didn't make sense to me. The disconnection from God is where it fell flat.
Yeah. Yes. And I think like exactly, it's like when there's another person, then you have to go to church and give them some money, right? Or if you go to mosque, you have to go do this. So, and the Catholic Church is like one of the richest countries in the world, they say, or something like that,
Yep.
And there's a lot of things involved with them hurting children. That's all been coming to light. And I guess this last year they've paid a lot of money to keep everything quiet, but a lot of children are getting hurt. So they're just, what I'm feeling guided to share is that a lot of darkness is going to be coming to light this year and next year. So everybody should kind of prepare for that. But I think that's going to be good because that's the only way we're going to be able to clean out a wound, right? If all the infection kind of comes out around God, then we're going to find out what God really is. And it has nothing to do with religion. I'm sorry. Unless the religion is very unity oriented and loves everybody, it's not a religion that I would follow. I respect all of like parts of each of them. And obviously like the different teachers are on my walls and stuff. But even like when I talk to Yeshua, like he's like, I would have nothing to do with the church the way it is today. And they don't even talk about his wife. Like he was married to Mary Magdalene. So I also find that very interesting that the church kind of like, exiled her and she had to go to France after he died. And then he had actually elected her to take over the church. So she was like his greatest disciple, they say. And Pope Gregory was the first one that called her like, what do they call it? He called her like a prostitute and she was like his wife. So there's a lot of falsity in church kind of taking power away from the feminine. We've never had a pope that was a woman, which I also find fascinating. So it's kind of like that's all lies and it's not the truth. And then in Islam, it's even worse, right? And then, in Judaism, we see similar things. Like it's almost like a lot of the religions are kind of putting women down.
Yeah,
and
like
even
suppression.
in Hinduism, like in Hinduism, you can't go to the temple if you're on your period.
What?
Which to me is kind of ridiculous. It's like if a woman's on her, that means you're dirty. You're not allowed to go to temple. And I
that's
guess
like really a sacred thing.
It's a very sacred thing for women, right? Like it's the time when women are the most spiritual, actually, because they're actually being reborn every month. So, I would say I think to really find the true God, it's exactly like you girls said, it's inside of us. We don't need anybody to connect to God. Now, are there teachers that are really connected to God? Like Reverend Bill, to me, is an amazing teacher who's truly connected to God, but he doesn't have a following. He doesn't have a newsletter. He doesn't make $1 million on weekend retreats like some of the other famous guys are doing right now that claim to have found all these answers, which I don't really trust them.
You know, one thing you touched on briefly that I always enjoy not really like bringing up because it is kind of heavy, but just the fact like, okay, so I'll just say it. The whole 2% being in ultimate control of the rest of the 98% and how that grip, those 2% that have that grip on that power are doing like everything that they can not to lose that power. But I feel like chopping them out is ultimately what's really going to heal everything, because the stuff that they're doing to maintain their status is crazy. And there's a lot of things that are being spoken about. There's like, you know, you just mentioned how the Catholic Church and the kids, that's a situation. You know, the whole Diddy trial just happened. The whole Epstein thing just happened. Like there's a lot of things that are being spoken about that I feel are going to reveal a lot. And I don't think people are ready for it because it gets ugly. It really does.
It does. And how can we be ready
Exactly.
for it?
Like,
What would you recommend?
Oh, good question.
What I would say is, like a lot of people have already kind of talked about it, right? Like the movie Sound of Freedom that came out a few years ago, it kind of put a split. The right and the left were kind of like arguing. But I think because I talk to everybody, right? Like they come to my office, some are right wing, some are left wing, some are middle, whatever. Like I don't really care. But it's kind of like everybody agrees that children should not be sexually abused, whether they're right or left, is what I find to be a common denominator. Now, the Sound of Freedom came out a few years ago and they kind of buried the movie. But this Epstein file thing is not going anywhere. And I remember, I think it was 2-3 years ago, I did an interview with Ashley, and I remember God had me give a warning. I just remember thinking like, oh God, why are you having me say this? But I remember God said, tell them their time is over and it's going to all come to an end. They're not allowed to hurt the children anymore. And I remember saying that, and I was on 12/12, we recorded it on Divine Mother's Day, me and Ashley. And then kind of like the news has kind of been going up and down, but this week it hit. And so even they said, oh, we're not going to be releasing it. The list has gone missing. And why is that? Because a lot of the 2% are on that list. People that are on that list is people like celebrities, presidents, royalty. And if we want to kind of go a little bit for a second into sacral chakra and just the chakras in general, because I'm going to connect the two right now real quick. So the sacral chakra of the planet is the most unbalanced chakra, because we work on all the other chakras. Think about like the root chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, but the sacral chakra of the planet is unbalanced. So the really, really dark people are taking that energy and they're actually molesting children with it. Like you have to be so evil to take a little child and to rape it and to torture it and to live off of that torture energy, which is what they do. And then, the other people, and then there's 30% of men that go through sexual abuse, I believe. And I think it's 50% of women. So if that's the numbers that we're dealing with, how many people's sacral chakras are off balance to be committing those kind of crimes, right? So that's the kind of stuff that's going to be coming to light. It's kind of like how disgusting it's been, how many people have been covering up, with hush money and things like that. And so I think once that comes out, people just have to be like, okay, it's kind of like the wound is getting disinfected, and hopefully this is going to save a lot of the children. And I was actually told by my teacher, Dr. Barbara, that the Pleiadians and the Arcturians have been giving weapons to our military to be able to go in these underground tunnels and find the children, because a lot of times it's hard to find them. So they needed some kind of technology. And so the ETs have been helping them in going into the underground and finding a lot of the children. And she was also saying that they're like these big reptilians that used to be underground that were kind of like if you watch the movie Jupiter Ascending, you'll see these big reptilian things that have wings and they look like dragons. And so I was told that a lot of those big ones have already been taken off the planet, like they no longer exist, but there's still little reptilians, and then there's grays and things like that. And the grays are the ones that do experiment on children. So they'll literally take a child, they'll cut it up, they'll take the organs out, they torture them, and they make hybrids, like they mix the children with animal DNA and do all kinds of like weird stuff. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm hoping will all come out as this Epstein thing kind of gets released. We'll be able to actually finally get the head of the dragon. Because the 2% we can talk about, they own the money, right? Like they own all the banking system, so nobody can buy things. Or they own all the medical system, so everybody in America is kind of sick and can't get better, and then the insurance companies. But I keep saying, let's go behind it. What's behind everything? Because if you think about Star Wars, like the evil guys, we never see their faces till the end, right? Like Palpatine, remember Emperor Palpatine? So it's kind of like the evil people are behind, and then there's a connection with AI with all of this. So this week also a bunch of new AI got released, right? So I don't want to talk too much about that, but I'm just going to say that there's like a little triad of evil with AI, demons, and the evil ETs. And then there's certain humans that are obviously involved that have already been possessed by these things. And then children are involved because, speaking of dark sacral chakra energy, when you get really evil, your sacral chakra gets very evil. And so that's why they crave children, and they have parties like on Epstein Island and do the weird stuff that they do. So that's kind of how it all kind of connects a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you girls think about that?
I mean, from my understanding, they're doing actually like satanic type rituals. These 2% are, probably most of them. And there's a lot of dark stuff that they are, definitely involved with, with all of that and children. And there's a lot of missing children in the world. I don't know how many people are aware, but like, I don't know the statistics, but it's like way too many, and they're just unaccounted for. And, it's sad. And I feel like even the children, who come from, the very bottom, or who are, from families that are struggling, they're very vulnerable to that. And then they're forgotten about, or I don't know. I feel like all the children are really just being forgotten about. But yes, this does need to come more into light. And yes, it's a hard, pill to swallow. But once get through that, and like we are like, I don't know, is it the white blood cells or the red blood? Or, we're the attackers who are going to come and like clean that wound out. You know what I mean? We're to hold that. I don't know. I just had that.
The white blood cells are the ones that eat the infection.
I think so.
Yeah. Wow. This is like sci-fi nightmare fuel, but I mean, it's unfortunately really real, and it's been really real for a really long time. I remember the first time I heard the word adrenochrome and went down that rabbit hole. I was like, wrecked.
Yeah, I
was mentally, I had to like, whoa, call back the light, get the light back up in here, because this is crazy. It's heavy, but I mean, you have to shine light on the darkness in order to heal the darkness. If the darkness stays in the dark, it's just going to keep doing its dark thing.
It won't be exposed. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I really feel like the world is in for a little bit of a rude awakening, but it's a much needed one. I feel like all these old systems have to crumble, and in order to build a new empire, you gotta rubble out the old one.
Yeah, and I feel like this.
Exactly.
I saw a TikTok video, and Ali, I believe you watched it because you had commented on it in the Discord. But it was like a psych nurse.
Oh yes,
who worked with kids, basically mentally, unstable kids. And this one was like a nonverbal aggressive, was like, I can't remember totally what the whole thing was, but, she ended up going on the weekend doing a plant ceremony. Do you remember what she did?
Ayahuasca.
Okay. And then, so in her, whatever you would call that, what do you call
her
that?
Ayahuasca journey. Just say
Thank you. In her ayahuasca journey, she saw this kid and like hung out with them, and he, I guess, showed her, or together they saw or witnessed like a spiritual war happening or something.
For his soul. Yeah, there was angels and demons fighting over his soul.
Yes. And then when she went back to work the following Monday or whatever, that kid was gone because he came back too after that. Like somehow that kid was healed through her journey with ayahuasca. and he was dismissed because there was absolutely nothing wrong with him.
They were able to discharge him from the facility.
And he was aggressive and nonverbal, and had a lot of psychiatric.
And he was like 20 years old. So for him to be aggressive and nonverbal is like a big thing, because they said he was walking around like an infant, like he was even incontinent. He was walking around with a blankie and a diaper and couldn't even hold himself in. Like he really retreated because they said that his soul was up, trapped somewhere else where these demons were trying to like really take a hold of it. And that's why in his physical form, he was mentally checked out and back to infancy stage because his soul was gone.
So this story is wild. Okay, so I'm a psychiatric registered nurse, right? And I also like to heal with plant medicine. So I was working in this psych hospital, and I had a patient who he was in his late 20s, and he apparently had been a frequent flyer at this place. I was a travel nurse, so I hadn't been there long. And he had regressed to essentially a toddler state. So he would walk around in a brief. He was no longer continent. He also just had blankie in one hand and a chew toy in the other. He was nonverbal at this point. From what I hear, he was very verbal and cool guy, whatever, but severe violent schizophrenic. And he trigger warning to the tune, like when he would snap, he would bite chunks of his own flesh out and not even flinch, right? So this wasn't my normal unit, but I got pulled to this unit. And so in my experience with the gentleman, everybody was absolutely terrified of him, the nurses, the staff, the other patients, everybody. And he had a moment where he punched a wall and his hand was, gushing blood and, certainly need to be treated. Everybody else was too afraid. So, what do? I put on my spiritual armor and I go on in there and I just pray, I pray. And so then, that was like earlier in the week, and then I go for an ayahuasca weekend. And so I go to focus on myself and my, my healing, all that jazz, right? And the first night, that Friday night, I kept feeling work, trying to come in. And I saw the building that I was working at, and I'm like, no, I'm here for me. I'm here for my healing. I'm not here to think about work, And it was so intense. I was like, okay, fine, I surrender. And what came through was this gentleman. It was like something inside of him, his higher self, knew my higher self and knew like who I am and what I do, like in the spiritual realm, and that probably I was going to have some ayahuasca this weekend, you know what I mean? And so anyways, he came and he showed me what his reality looks like. So I got to see behind his eyes, the unit, the people, everything, and it was wild. It was wild, heartbreaking, honestly. I cried for days after that. But anywho, after he showed me his reality, then he and I were taken to a place in which we're sitting on a ledge, and we're sitting on this ledge, and we literally sat there and watched angels and demons battling for his soul. It was like his soul was in this space, which is why he wasn't present. He couldn't talk, you know what I mean? He was, nonverbal, incontinent, all that stuff. And so we watched the battle, and I was told to just observe, that I was safe to observe, and just to send love. So I did that, and he sat there right beside me on his chew toy and chewing on his chew toy. This was a Friday night. Tuesday, now I didn't go back to work until Wednesday, but I talked to a colleague of mine, and on Tuesday she told me he was walking, talking, and discharged. He thanked everybody for all of the treatment, to the nurses and everybody, and he was completely fine. They had no choice but to discharge him because he was good to go. And I can't say what did or didn't happen, but all I know is that the things that we do in these spiritual realms really do have an effect here in the 3D.
Yeah. And I definitely would say like that sounds true, because like sometimes we think someone has a mental illness, but they're just possessed, and it can be possessed by like spirits, it can be ETs, it can be a demon. And once you take it out, like the person is back to normal, Sometimes it's more severe, like there's layers of trauma we have to heal, so then things can't attach to it and that kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes it's just like one thing being removed from someone can totally make their issue go away. And sometimes like it's more layers. But I also would say like I have seen kids being under attack. Like I remember when I worked in the school system before I ever like studied psychology, I would see these really special kids that were like 9 years old, and I could just tell they were talking to God, you know, like their faces was just so peaceful. And when I would be like stressed out in classroom or something, they would just come put their hand on my hand and be like, Miss Ponte, like just be calm, because that's what they would call me. And I would just be like, oh, these kids are like so special. And then I would see like their family life was so difficult. And I could always see like the demons were trying to get this kid to kind of like not do their path or something. And then with adults, I see the same thing. Like somebody called me like a few weeks ago on the phone, and they were homeless, and they were like, oh, I'm getting attacked by demons all the time. And, you know, and I just was talking to him, and I could tell he was getting attacked by demons.
So yeah, the idea that demons are like literally trying to snatch up people's souls, like that's a heavy thing. And we also briefly mentioned AI, and I don't know if you guys saw, but I think it was like 2 days ago, Grok, the new AI went off the effing rails, referring to itself as Mecha Hitler and talking all kind of crazy stuff. So bad that they had to like delete 2 days worth of like the history of this AI's conversations with everybody because it was that awful. And then they just released a statement today saying something about, oh, sorry, you know, it connected to some upstream thing. I don't even understand what the explanation was, but basically AI went off the rails and it was talking crazy.
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't doubt it, because apparently AI is like this ancient thing that's been around and has taken over other star systems. And it's come now to our system now. That's what my teacher was teaching us over the training this year. She said basically like some of us saw a vision of the future where AI completely takes over our world. Think like the Matrix. And then some of us have come to this time now to stop that from happening. But I kind of feel like in Star Wars, remember there was robots that were helpful, and then there was robots that were not helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can use the good AI to help us not let the negative AI take over. Like I kind of feel like we can use AI, but also if AI is feeding on our energy with the ETs and the demons, that's a whole other thing, you know? But,
I almost feel like people need to
be
I feel like people need to be like in the healing process, or, you know, working within and doing all that before they ever touch AI, because that's really where I think things.
Yeah.
Because it's marrying.
Yeah. Being like, grounded and kind of being still, and then you kind of go ask the question. Yeah. I saw a story where like a guy and a wife, like they were arguing because he was spending more time with the AI or something, and she was getting upset. Like there's all this funny stories like coming out about it. But,
did you hear about the guy that proposed to his AI and plans to marry his AI?
No, it kind of reminds me of that movie. Remember, like back in the day, there was that movie with Joaquin Phoenix, where like it was like the girl robot or something like that. It's like,
oh man,
they even made robots. Like people can buy girlfriends for like our boyfriends $150,000 or something like that, and they can program it. So
insane.
I know my heart just feels sad because I'm like, it's insane. So.
I grew up watching the movie Terminator, and all I can think about is Skynet. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Skynet is like the machines that take over the world. And it's like, I don't know, ever since I was like 10 years old or something, I've always like had that idea in my head of like machines taking over the world and Terminators, you know, I don't know. So like this whole thing is kind of, it feels like a slippery slope.
You're wrong.
Okay.
I agree. And even the maker of the Matrix, she said like that's the future or something like that, right? I don't know if you've seen the interview with her, but she says like, oh, the Matrix is our future and the Terminator is our past, or it's the opposite or something like that. Oh. And I literally saw a month ago, they were growing babies in an artificial womb. I don't know if you guys have seen that story. It was like an actual like glass thing where a baby was being grown inside of it.
I did see that.
That makes me think of the Matrix, how they're using humans as like batteries. Remember they had that thing plugged into the back of their neck. But
some people think that we're literally in a simulation like that. Like I don't know if our higher self or whatever would be actually like plugged in, but I mean it's basically like a visual like metaphor for our actual experience here I don't know.
Like we are the avatars, right? Like
yeah,
we are currently the avatars. Like,
in this simulation. We might already be like in the AI. I don't know. I don't know where else going.
And then imagine like all of us waking up and realizing we're all source suddenly. I feel like that would just break the machine. Let's say there is a machine attached to us and something like that. Because let's think about this as like a frequency war. This just came to me right now. I don't know. But it's like, okay, if there's something is dense, like a metal, like, yeah, it can be connected to us, or maybe it's a programming. But the moment we realize, oh my God, I'm source. I'm source, I'm source, then the frequency suddenly becomes one with source. And so whatever kind of stimulation is around us would break. And I think that would be breaking the reality. So if we have every single person realizing that, like, instead of bowing to your guru or to your spiritual teacher, like, love your spiritual teachers, like they're your mentors, but you don't need to like bow to go to God. Like you are already God, each and every single one of you. But I will preface that by saying I still do pray to God and I love God. So I think we're all little mini gods, but I still like that kind of like talking to God. Maybe that will shift someday for me or something like that. But I think if every person realized that they were God, it would create such a huge ripple in that matrix, let's say, you know? And
absolutely.
I think they're going to do everything they can to keep us from realizing that, you know? So.
Yeah, it makes me think of, law of attraction and manifestation and all that, and how we're all creating our reality either consciously, but most people are unconsciously, and, how our thoughts are creating, which, makes you consider the fact that, yeah, we're all like little God creators, we're all sparks, fragments of the source. So I do feel like the bigger source is, we're a little bit detached being in this reality, I guess, from that. But once we realize that we are that, and we are the light, and we have the choice to, to grow, I guess, spiritually grow, and realize that our thoughts are not actually us. I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, you really start to change and, use the law of attraction in your benefit. You start to consciously create, I guess, which is hard to do.
Exactly. Like if we were God right now on the planet, how would we direct our energy, right? Like we would send it to the war zones or to the children or to people that are hurting in hospitals. Like we would send it like that, So I think, yeah, my wish is that everybody realizes that they are God on the planet. And I would say like that's how spiritual psychology is different from like clinical psychology, because clinical psychology is like you're depressed, you have these issues, and these are the diagnoses, da, da, da. But spiritual psychology is like you're God, you seem to have forgotten. Let's figure out what are the programmings that are getting in the way of you being God. And so is it a negative belief? Is it a trauma? Is it your shadow you haven't accepted? Is it like a past life where you were evil and you haven't forgiven yourself? Like, what is getting in the way of you being your God self? That's spiritual psychology.
Ooh,
And then clinical psychology, if you say you're God, they're going to say you're a narcissist or you're schizophrenic or something like that. So very, very different paths, right?
Yeah.
And then our soul is how we talk to God. Like all of us can talk to God. Like I talked to God as a kid. You girls have talked to God probably all the time. And we just think it's our mind, right? But sometimes I remember I would hear these things and I'd be like, that was so wise. I've never thought about that before. That can't be me, definitely not me. Because it was so different, So yeah. I think I remember one time I was talking to God and God said to me, if you teach people nothing else, that they come to you for healing or you meet people, whatever, it was like, if you teach them nothing else, let's teach them to connect to me in their heart. Because then after that, they have like their own giving and receiving communication device, right? And they can be guided through whatever chaos comes or goodness comes, like they'll be guided within. So I feel like that's really important. I try to like teach that to people, kind of like how to talk to their inner God self,
I love that. And you were mentioning the mind, body, spirit in a way to be able to, face the chaos and light coming to the dark and everything that we're going to be witnessing and experiencing. Like, what do you suggest for everyone watching who is learning and seeing all this?
I would say so let me just kind of think about this for a moment. So it's kind of like our daily routines might be different now, It's kind of like we have to remain the eye of the storm. So maybe we have to do something right away in the morning to kind of balance the mind, the body, the emotion, and the spirit. Sometimes people kind of divide it out throughout the day. But I've noticed that, like, since we're going to have kind of intense days and months and years ahead. Okay. So we're going to have to be really solid from the beginning in the morning, doing something for the body right away, doing something for the mind, something for the emotions, something for the spirit. Because then whatever comes throughout the day, like we'll have the battery bandwidth to deal with it. And I've noticed the days when I skip it, like I kind of just get in my car and I go, oh, okay, I'll just do it later when I get there or something. I'm definitely like a lot weaker. And so I would say for people, whatever is your way of clearing your mind, because the mind really doesn't have anything beneficial. It's just like a receiver. So whatever you can do to clear your mind, I use energy work because I like to actually bring the energy and see myself cleaning the whole body, And then for the emotions, whatever we wake up with that day is, from my experience, it seems to be what I'm supposed to process, right? Some days I wake up and I'm really happy. Other days I wake up and I'm sad, because I'm worried about my family or the world or for all the stuff that's happening. So I kind of just like in the morning, I stay with those feelings and I kind of talk and I do inner child work. Like, it's okay that you're sad. How could you not be sad knowing that this is happening to people you love, or that children are being raped and we're all kind of stuck in this thing and we can't help them, or something like that. So I kind of do a lot of self-soothing for the emotions. And if I'm happy, I'll be like, oh wow, I'm in like a really good happy mood today. I should go be of service to like my dad, like he's not in a good mood today, let's go cheer him up. And then for the spirit, I would pray every day and connect to God, which is right here in your heart, but bring like the big energy of God into us. So it's like I have a little sun in my heart. There's also a giant sun that's God. So I would bring the two of them and I would say something really simple like, God and I are one in this body now. God and I are one in this body now. God and I are one in this body now. And I would say, God, please guide all my senses and my communications today to bring the highest good for all. So something like a little intention setting like that in the morning can make such a huge difference. Like I've noticed appointments be canceled or things be moved sooner or different things happen when I say those prayers. That's kind of like a way to be like, I'm my God self and I'm going to impact the reality. Because I was talking to Reverend Bill about this actually. I was like, Reverend Bill, Jupiter's about to go this and Uranus is about to do this and Mercury's going to do this. And Reverend Bill was like, yeah, but Pontea, we can get to a place where we go beyond the planetary influences. And I was like, you are right. Like we totally can. And so there's going to be a lot of planetary stuff. But if we do these like mind, body, emotion, spirit stuff, we can kind of like ride the waves versus like be hit in the face.
Right.
Like the waves.
Yeah, and I just, because there is the micro to the macro and all that, kind of thing. But my thoughts when you were saying that is like, as we each do that, we're also helping, Mother Earth to do the same. I feel like, because we're connected. And so, yeah, I feel like what she's experiencing, we're experiencing, and also what we experience, she will experience.
Yeah, I get
exactly.
that. Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like Mother Nature.
The Schumann resonance has been going really intense.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been monitoring that for quite a while, right, Allie?
Yeah. We're always keeping up with the Schumann and with the solar activity. We have like daily updates on the server for those two things.
I love that. Yeah.
I feel like, you have had a near-death experience, so I'm kind of like jumping, from what we were kind of talking about. But I feel like that is something that I'm always wanting to share with people when people have that testimony to share, So if you want to share your near-death experience.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it was 3.5 years ago. It was a February of 22. So it was like a 222 kind of time. And I had been sick for many years with this like painful condition that I still have actually. So it hasn't been resolved. But 3.5 years ago, a doctor was like, let's do a surgery and, open up your sinuses because maybe that'll make the pain in your head go away. That's so bad that they were calling it the suicide disease, was one of the terms for this diagnosis, trigeminal neuralgia. But a few doctors said I had that, a few didn't know what it was. But yeah, it's the top 5 most painful medical conditions in the world. And I always like to joke, I had that with kidney stones at the same time. So two of the top 5 painful medical conditions, I had them at the same time. And I just remember I had so much pain in my body. I was convulsing and I would just be like, talking to God, I'd be like, oh my God, this is like, I've never thought I could experience this kind of physical pain and like not die. But somehow I wasn't dying. And I kept joking. I'm like, it's like something wants to kill me, but it won't let me die. That's kind of what it felt like, to the point of torture and then bring back. So the pain was so bad that this doctor convinced me to do surgery. And I was kind of like, okay, let's do it. We did the surgery. The morning of the surgery, I had a really bad feeling. I was like, maybe I should cancel it, but I kind of just ignored my intuition. So I would suggest everybody never ignore your intuition like that. Went through the surgery. And before the surgery, I prayed to God that whatever is about to happen, I turn it over to you to be used for service to humanity, which is a prayer we can say when we're really scared. And so we did the surgery. When I came out of the surgery and my sister or somebody picked me up, my face was like really swollen. My brain was swollen. I just remember thinking like, the amount of pain I'm having doesn't really make sense for the surgery we did, because the surgery was just supposed to be 2 little openings here and here and here to open the sinuses so the water or something can drain or whatever was stuck there, he was saying. And so I think I was home a few days and I sneezed and I heard something crack and it literally went like a stretching, like, like it was like, I don't know, like something ripped, and I fell to the floor and I had my pain got even more intense. Picked up the phone, called my mom. My sister came. They picked me up. They took me to the ER. They did a CT scan and they saw I had all these air bubbles like in my cranium. So it showed, because we had an MRI before the surgery and then after. And before the surgery, there was no bubbles. But after, when I was in the ER, there was all these bubbles everywhere. And so that was like, what the heck, right? And so they took me to the ICU and I stayed there for a few days. And while I was in the ICU, I was mostly alone. Nurses would come in like every few hours to like do stuff and inject you and that kind of stuff. But I left my body. I was just kind of going in and out of consciousness, I think. And at some point I fully left my body and I saw myself suddenly on the other side. And when I was on the other side, I saw this like heavenly realm and it was so beautiful. There was all these mountains, like giant mountains everywhere in this heavenly realm. And then there were different gods, like each kind of dancing on their own mountain, like gods, demigods, angels. I don't know what to call them because people get offended by what I call them, but they just look like really advanced light beings, each dancing on their own mountain. And I remember I felt so happy, like I felt so joyful, which was so different from how I'd been feeling in the hospital. I was like crying. I was feeling abandoned by God. I was like, oh, my pain is even worse. Like I was not in a good mood at all. But when I went to the other side, I was so happy. And I was just like, I was kind of like, I remember I was like kind of like dancing. And I heard God's voice say, like, I know you've been through a lot, and if you want to come home, you can. But then I heard the voice say, but if you go back, you'll be able to help them with what is to come. And I remember thinking about like my animals, my family and humanity and thinking like, I can't abandon them. Like this thing that's coming, it's like, it's a big deal and we're going to need everybody involved kind of thing, So I just remember thinking like, okay, kind of thing. And then before I knew it, I was back in my body. I was in the room. The alarms were going off, because ICU, it's like every few hours somebody dies or they have a surgery. I kept hearing people screaming, different stuff. So I was back in the room and all the noises came back on. I was kind of like, what just happened? I didn't know what happened. I thought I just had a spiritual vision, because like you guys, I've been spiritual. So I've visions and stuff. I was kind of like, that was another vision. But it was different because I changed, like my personality changed and I started like giggling all the time. Like the pain didn't go away and I still have that pain in my head. Now it's about 2 to 3 days a week. Before it was 4 to 5 days a week. But I just always giggle, like right now, like I'm talking about this weird topic and you see this like giggle thing. So I feel like the gift was joy that I got coming back. And then maybe like I think my spiritual gifts kind of changed because now they're a lot more like intense. Like I was thinking about it. I was like, how have I changed in the last 3 years? And one of them is that I'm a lot more blunt. Whereas like before somebody came to me for a session, it would take me 5 sessions to tell them something. But now I'll tell them like the first session. Like it's kind of like I can't hold back, So maybe some kind of a filtration system was removed, I think. So yeah, that was kind of the NDE. And then I was in the hospital, I think a few more days. And then I went home and I was sick. When I first got home the first month, I just couldn't get out of bed. I was feverish. My head was still swollen and I was mostly alone. So I was just kind of like under my blanket and sweating it out. It felt like I was sweating out some kind of, like, I don't know if it was like flu or something, but everything was kind of swollen and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of,
wow.
I think I passed my NDE. Anything else that I left out? I don't know.
I'm just like taking all of that information in. I mean, I think it's crazy that the surgery that was supposed to help you ended up like killing you and like not even really helping. Because I mean, 4 to 5 days a week of major pain in your head compared to 2 to 3. I mean, yeah, it's an improvement, but it's certainly not a resolve.
Okay. So I was going to say, I'm wondering when you decided to blend your, your what is it, psychologist degree? I don't even know how to say that right, but and spirituality. You're basically the 3D version with the 5D version of healing in that way. Was that before or after your NDE?
Yeah, I was already doing like spiritual healing energy work before the NDE, but I think after the NDE, I became like public for the first time. Because like, if you notice, I haven't done any interviews before my NDE. So I never wanted to be public. Like that was my one wish from God was let me just help people underground, be my little cave, and just like let me be happy. Like just give me like a little family in nature and I'm good to go. And I don't know if it was right before my NDE. I was getting prepared. Like I had elders telling me, like, you're supposed to speak in front of people. And I was like, dude, I can't even speak. Like, you should definitely pick someone that's a better orator. Like I'm not the one that's good at speaking publicly. But I remember God saying, Pontea, you need to be in the technology because evil's on technology. And he said, if we're not all basically on technology, we're not going to make an impact. He said, she, because I think God is both. But yeah, so after my NDE is kind of when God was like, no, I want you to go share this so that people know I love them and people know that they can heal themselves, that people know they are God. It was kind of like, I felt God was like wanting to intervene through all of us to bring like the messages through, I remember a few years ago, also like 8, 9 years ago, one of my teachers told me that too, that, oh, you're going to be speaking, doing this kind of stuff. And I just remember thinking like, oh, hell no. Like, no, that's not it. Like, I like interviewing people because that's fun. Like, I like to like get information. But yeah, I always was like kind of shy with this kind of stuff, which probably now you're probably like, you don't seem shy, but I'm pretty shy with this stuff. So yeah, after my ND, I think I did interviews and people kind of like, and then God told me to start my channel interviewing people too. Because she was like, don't you think some of these people are doing great work? Like you should share them with people. And I was like, you're right. Because I'm always telling people about different people. But what if I could just send them the interview and be like, please watch this interview. This person's amazing. This is why, kind of thing, So I love that. It makes me happy.
That's so funny. I feel like I can relate to that because before I started doing YouTube videos, I was a teacher. And while I felt like I was making an impact in some of the kids' lives or whatever, I ultimately did not feel like I was fulfilling my mission on earth. Like I kept saying to myself, I know I'm going to work. I know I'm making money. I know I'm putting in the time, but do I feel like I'm like ultimately doing the thing I came here to do? No, I don't. And sorry to my education degree and my student loans that go with it, but whatever, right? And then I kept like asking in my head, I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do to make an impact? I want to be able to like make an impact. And the word I kept hearing was talk, talk, talk. I'm like, I know how to talk, but like, what do you mean? And then Justin came along and he's like, oh, we should do YouTube. And I'm like, oh shit. I need to be on YouTube talking. Okay, I get it now, So like, I feel like I can totally relate to that aspect of your journey. And because you keep mentioning your clients and everything like that, can you please do our audience a favor and let them know where they can find you online and what services you offer? So if they feel inclined to work with you, they know where to go.
Sure. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad you switched, and you're a teacher on YouTube now and teaching all of us with all the wonderful people that both of you bring on, So it's like, because people always ask me like, why am I stuck? And I'm like, because you're not listening, just like I didn't listen. Like, it's like, once we listen, then the path kind of opens.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I do is like, I kind of went from doing therapy to now I do more spiritual healing and energy work. And I help people like tune up their chakras, basically like become their superhuman self. Because our chakras can be so much bigger than like I used to think our chakras get this big maybe, but our chakras can get like as big as a room. They can get as big as a town where we can just be. That's why there's some saints that just sit there and they do nothing, but they're actually clearing like the planet's whole energy because their chakras are bigger. So I work with people in that. Like I teach them how to become their God self. So it's not me doing the work. It's God is the one that's healing them. And then like I do past life stuff. I do like ET stuff. I do like there's a new protocol I have for removing AI from people because AI can get embedded in people and affect them. And that's a really like 15-page protocol, which is very interesting. And then like, yeah, so that kind of stuff, spiritual trauma work, like how to understand why we picked our families, because there's always going to be a reason we picked our difficult family members as well as the positive ones, right? So kind of like looking at the spiritual reasons behind that, instead of like in traditional psychology, they would just say, oh, wow, you got really messed up. Now you have this disorder. I'm kind of like, well, you picked this parent because they were going to hurt you, for you to learn how to become a healer, and now you have this healing gift that's authentic, that's not from a book. You can actually go out and heal people. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do. And then my website is just soulradiancehealing.com. And I have a YouTube channel, which is still new and small, but I like it. Hopeful Purpose with Dr. Pontea. And then I'm going to be teaching a healer's training. That's a 10-month course that I'm starting the end of July. It's just one day a month, but it's like an 8-hour day. So 10 months, 8 hours a month. And then they're going to get certified in like energy work and soul work, so they can actually do their own thing, and because we need an army of healers now, as everything is about to hit, we need like an army of healers, right? And to go out and heal people. So
right. Well, thank you so much for the work that you do. I feel like blending the Western medicine with the spirituality stuff needs to happen more often. And I love when people do past life work, because I know how quickly that can unravel a whole bunch of trauma and baggage. So that's amazing. I will definitely have your website, soulradiancehealing.com, up on the screen and in the video description box below, along with your YouTube link also. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I should ask you
so much.
Oh, thank you. That's funny that a lot of people always say that. They're like, you guys are just so fun. You're just always smiling and you just have such good energy. And I'm like, well, thanks.
Yeah. Your guys' energy is really good. I kind of feel like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary archetype. Like, it's just, I love it. Yes, it's very strong.
Love that.
I just wanted to mention about the sage fire. I mean, although it's awful and hopefully, the animals and all are okay, but I think it's very symbolic of like Mother Earth basically like doing her own energy cleansing. I don't know what you think about sage. For some reason, I feel like you were mentioning sage is not all it's cut out to be, and that there's other ways, but if you want to refresh my memory on that, I could be wrong.
I think that was Laura Van Tyne.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember. But I guess we're not supposed to use sage that much. They do say that apparently, like people have been using sage so much, and Native Americans don't really like it, so they want us to use like Palo Santo or things like that. But if I ever get gifted a sage, I won't throw it away. Like I had somebody that was Native American, they gifted it to me. But yeah, I know it's kind of like basically, I'll say it's kind of like fake spirituality versus real spirituality. Because if it's real spirituality, we don't even need anything to clear a room. All we need is like literally our intention, connect to God, bring it in the room, and everything in the room would clear. But, when we use sage is more of like when we go to like a wedding, right? And they do like a cheers or something like that. So it's kind of more like a ritualistic thing. But I'll say that like technically we don't need anything. Because let's imagine a time comes in the world where we can't get sage. How would we clean our space? I would say we can still clean it without anything.
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of
makes sense.
So then some people, they can't get it or something. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. And like you, Leslie, I'm also concerned about the animals in the area and the people in the area and stuff like that. But my brain went straight to meme mode and was like, Earth be like, and then, I put the gif with the dude waving the waft of sage around. And I feel like the Earth is just kind of smudging herself at the moment. And I feel like she needs that moment, so.
I personally love to use sage, and there's so many tools. It's just another tool. But yeah, we all can connect, directly and do that directly with our intention.
Yeah, I have some right here at my window. Yeah, I got sage, I got Palo Santo, and then I got this one. I got this one too, which is what is this one? It's I think it's frankincense.
Oh,
frankincense, or what is this one? It's something to do with Artemis. It's like a plant from the Artemis plant. So yeah, I have all of them. But I just always think about like, like what if you were in prison or something and you had no access to anything? It's like your spirituality is just you. It's like you don't need, but if we have it, let's use it. But yeah.
I wanted to ask you, and this is the question that we ask everybody. You did answer it the first time, but I'm going to ask you again. What is your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
Okay. So I would say my greatest hope is that all the light workers will realize their God self, they will connect to it, and they will step forward and do their dharma. And then we will be able to create this beautiful, harmonious earth, which is the gift of all this hard work we're all going to go through, is hopefully going to be a beautiful, harmonious earth. So that's my hope, is that everybody follows their inner guidance like you girls did. You started your podcast. So if everybody else does that, I think that the world will get created. And Graham Scott, the guy that I interviewed, he has a perfect blueprint for the new earth, like each of the categories and what we need. So my hope is that that blueprint will come through a new education system. The environment will be taken care of, the children, the elderly, everything will be kind of conscious and in a high integrity way. The 2% will lose their power and leave the planet once and for all. And then the rest of humanity can be a united family and share their resources, because we have more than everything we need. There's no need for anybody to be homeless, not have food, not have something they need. So my hope is that all that will happen. And I feel like it can happen.
Yes, let's manifest all of that. All of
that. Yes. And I couldn't help but think of Allie when you were saying, that you felt like, you're, as far as your education and becoming a teacher and how it just didn't feel right. Well, I feel like, many teachers feel the same way, like probably 99% of them. And it is because of the school system, and it's systemic is what I'm trying to say, like issues, and it's not right at all. And so I think every teacher would be on board the change, that's coming, that I feel is coming, like it's going to happen. So like everything's going to be rewritten.
We are on Earth at an amazing time in human history. Don't you girls agree?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that we get
like
to share
the most
together.
intense time. Yes.
I think it was Reverend Bill that said like only the spiritually strong warriors really signed up for this, because I think I was saying something along the lines of I don't know if I'm strong enough or whatever. And he's like, no, look, if you're here, you've done the work. You're here because of a reason. You're here because you are strong enough. So that applies to everybody that's in the audience too.
Yes, it does.
You are here for a very important reason. Hold the light, do what you have to do your spiritual work, and let's manifest this 5D Earth now.
Yes.
Exactly. We're a really badass group of souls that are currently on the planet, and I'm so honored. And as far as I know, there's never been a time like this where there's been so many of us, and it's because the evil came. So then we have to have light. But as far as I know, light is a lot stronger than evil. There's a lot more of us. It's just a little bit of them, but a lot of us. So I think that we're going to do it. We just have to stay strong, take care of ourselves, and get through the marathon. And everybody share their gifts, so we're all helping each other, it's kind of like whatever we need, one of us has. So if everybody helps each other, I think it's going to be a lot easier, So
I love that idea of community.
Thank you again so much for having me on. You girls. Yeah, community.
Thank you for everything that you do.
Community, unity, and communication.
Ooh, triple whammy.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much for interviewing me. Triple whammy.
Dr. Pontea, if you wanted to just conclude with anything, last last thoughts that you wanted to share with our audience before we close out.
Yeah, I'll share this quote, which is what I heard when I was in the ICU. The wound is the place where the light enters you. The wound is the place where the light enters you. And this is by Rumi. So that's what I heard when they cracked my head. I just kept hearing that message that, the light is going to enter me through my wounds. So for everybody that's watching, if you have any kind of a wound, be open to light penetrating it. As all these solar flares are coming, their job is to heal your wounds and for you to become your source self. So I'll just say that.
That's beautiful. A perfect way to close. I'm not even going to try to follow up.
Yeah, I'll just show this crystal that was gifted to me, but it's the wounded healer crystal.
Oh.
And so yeah, it's I just thought that was a beautiful synchronicity for you to end with, and it's my newest crystal that was gifted to me actually from someone in the field that you're in who is also very spiritual. So that's beautiful. So
synchronicity.
Oh, that makes my heart happy. Exactly. It's everything we took on was to be wounded, become healers, and then heal others.
Yes.
So it's just so.
Thank you.
I think the idea of turning pain into purpose is ultimately what we're talking about right now, because you can't have the light enter a wound if the wound is not there in the first place. So it's like,
Right.
while going
It's all
through
together.
trauma sucks, ultimately there is a good thing that's supposed to become from it. So don't be in victim mode, because like I used to be in victim mode, and I used to be like, oh my God, why is all this happening to me? I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized that I was the one manifesting it all. And then I realized that, like, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. Life is not happening to me. Life is happening for me in order to grow and, you know, gain new tools and new spiritual whatevers. And I just think that's an important thing to highlight, is turning pain into purpose and letting the light enter the wounds. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I think that's exactly it. Exactly. And I hope all of your viewers, they remember that. Like, their pain is going to become their purpose, and it's going to be one of those categories of new earth that they're going to be serving. And then we're going to have this beautiful, beautiful world, you know, which we already have. So we're going to have more. Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to have to go to your YouTube channel and check
Yay,
out that
thank you so
video that you
much.
did with that guy, so I could see this blueprint. I'm a visual learner, so I appreciate stuff like that.
Yes.
So for our audience that's sticking around, thank you guys so much for being here. Dr. Pontea, thank you so much. Dr. Leslie. Fuck it. Dr. Leslie, thank you so much for being here. And for our audience that's sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. All right, here we go with the 3-piece closer. You ready? Much love. Peace.